Okay, hello friends. So today we're going to talk about a brain tool I call false story, and it's something that I've gotten reports back from many who have experienced it that it's quite effective at helping to cool down or even shut off the lower brain. And it really comes on the heels of the last couple of videos, the idea of unlimited value in the form of love, that we actually have unlimited ability to be loving towards others when we get out of the way of our lower brain. And that therefore gives us unlimited value as human beings. And we do not have to hold ourselves to the standard of hierarchical achievement, whether it's looks or money or success. It doesn't mean that we're not setting those metrics and pushing to get better and better and perform better and better and achieve goals. But the real reason to achieve goals from a maximum happiness perspective is to get greater mastery over the lower brain and activate the higher brain and go to the six levels of happiness. It's actually not about the achievement itself. That's a distraction of level one. The idea of external validation and external pleasure being the basis for happiness is actually untrue from a brain science or a biological perspective. That's level one, where unfortunately most people are stuck just based on our biology and the fact that we have so much wealth as a society and as humanity collectively. So false story really builds on the idea that you have unlimited value by virtue of love, the capacity for being loving, as well as the most recent video, which is gratitude, which helps us to realize that we actually have unlimited access to happiness as well. So the combination make this next brain tool sort of combines these into an even more powerful brain tool that helps us to recognize that the manipulation that the lower brain does on ourselves is a old story. That's why we call it a false story. So again, we're pointing to the orbital prefrontal cortex, the storytelling machinery, which then collaborates with the dopamine production system, which gives us kind of the go, no go signal to a great extent, rewards us for novelty, the discovery or the achievement of higher status and group acceptance, resources and opportunity, the big four that I'll keep pointing to over and over again. But then it also, this part of the brain in collaboration with the storytelling has the ability to manipulate us. The lower brain has the ability to drop our dopamine levels below the normal levels, which creates pain for us, right? So it's kind of, we're effectively on, we're puppets on two dopamine strings until we free ourselves from the lower brain. So in effect, what happens is the lower brain manipulates us like puppets for the achievement of social rank in the form of hierarchical achievement and group acceptance, but also resources and opportunity, two dopamine strings that it controls. And what it will do is it will drop your dopamine levels to make you feel pain if it's worried that you're going to lose something, right? So it's constantly gearing us back from being, taking creative risk. What makes this life really exhilarating and fulfilling and successful and connecting is the ability to take creative risk. It's the ability to take the risk of self-awareness and growth, the ability to take risk in terms of learning and innovation, the ability to take social risk in the form of difficult conversations, more deeply connected and psychologically safe and trusting relationships, which has to be earned in the form of love and unconditional love, as well as building the confidence that we can have difficult conversations and work out our differences of values and needs, as well as leadership risk, happiness risk, spiritual risk. These all require risk. And so your lower brain is constantly gearing you back. And so one of the foundational tools is to recognize that when you are lower brain activated in the form of loss of energy or negative emotions and other signs that I will have elaborated or will elaborate in a different video, when you have that feeling, the negative feeling or the loss of energy or the tightness in the body or these are all signs of lower brain activation. You just say false story, because what the lower brain is doing is saying, oh no, we might lose something here. And so it's going to needle you by making you uncomfortable so that you make up for what you lost or you compensate for what you lost, excuse me, or you try to not lose what you already have. And the issue is that in this day and age, because we do have a lot in the form of internet and social media and food and entertainment, it's very easy to get satisfied with that and the lower brain to tell us a false story that we have enough, we don't need more, don't risk losing what we have. And so that becomes a problem of constant manipulation, constant discomfort, constant loss of energy, constant push towards boredom and depression and anxiety and stress and loneliness and lack of fulfillment. These are all lower brain manipulations based on dropping your dopamine levels to avoid risk taking. So we're going to build a foundation and practice that anytime we have a lower brain activation, we're going to say false story. It doesn't matter if we lose because we have unlimited access to worthiness by virtue of being loving towards others, as you should watch in video 14. And we also have in video 15 unlimited access to happiness. From moment to moment, we have unlimited access to peacefulness, creative joy, love, blissful activation of the higher brain, connection to others. We have unlimited access to happiness. The societal standards of saying you are worthy and you are valuable and you are loved, if you go up the hierarchy, this is incorrect. This is old, false story based on evolutionary biology that's manipulating us to have greater rank in order to be successful in mating, in order for our genes to survive, right? So the lower brain is a constant manipulation of us for the sake of getting the genes to survive into the next generation. So we're going to practice saying false story anytime we have a negative activation or anytime we have an activation of the lower brain, we're going to just say false story. Okay. And so to summarize, all suffering, all negative emotions are actually dopamine drops, a drop in the dopamine level caused by the lower brain to avoid the loss of status, group affiliation, resources, and opportunity. It actually doesn't matter. Of course, minus food and shelter, but we have enough for that. If you're hardworking and humble in this society, especially in the West, you will have access to food and shelter forever if you're humble and hardworking. Okay, so there is no need to fear any loss because we have unlimited access to happiness and unlimited value as human beings. And so because of unlimited value and unlimited access to happiness, we can really empower this notion of false story. Not only is it a false story because it's simply a manipulation for the sake of genes getting to the next generation. That's basically what the lower brain is about, is manipulating us to avoid loss. We not only is that incorrect in modern times, we don't have to worry about gene propagation, and we don't have to worry about status and rank. It really doesn't matter anymore. But it's so embedded in our biology and how society motivates us to do more. But we don't need that motivation, as we will build on further. Okay, so the action that I want you to consider going forward now, anytime you feel a negative emotion or any sign of lower brain activation, I want you to just say false story, soothe your lower brain, soothe and replace that with a more soothing narrative, a truth about the fact that we have unlimited value because of how loving we can be, and we have unlimited access to happiness. Check out those previous two videos to reinforce that. And we say, we're fine. It doesn't mean we can't try to make the situation better. It doesn't mean we just ignore the lower brain. Thank you for the information. We will try to optimize the situation, but we're not going to worry about it. Okay. We reassure the lower brain that, this is not as catastrophic as it seems, but we reassure you that we'll try to make the situation a little bit better. And in some instances, we're going to take creative risk because there's going to be a really good payoff in terms of success, happiness, connection, and fulfillment, exhilaration. And so it's worth it, lower brain. It's worth it to push forward. It's worth it to take some risk. And if you feel uncomfortable, let's remind ourselves that it's an old narrative that's been planted in our brain from the last 4 million years. So this is just a reminder of where we are on the journey that we're taking together. Let me just pull up my little laser pointer here. And so we're still focused on the left prefrontal cortex, which is really about becoming aware of the lower brain by itself is very powerful, but then also switching the narrative is another aspect of the left prefrontal cortex that allows us to let go of the lower brain narrative and shift higher. And so in the immediate previous video, we talked about gratitude, which is really effectively unlimited access to happiness. And then unlimited value covers the notion of our unlimited capacity to be loving towards others. And so that was video 14. So video 14, 15, and this is video 16, which is false story, which says that uncomfortable feeling is an exaggerated response to the loss potential. We don't care about loss, given that we have unlimited access to value and happiness. But at the same time, to reassure you, lower brain, we will optimize the situation because we're not worried about failure. So we're going to go into the situation and optimize it. So even that should be reassuring to you. So don't allow this to take over. Recognize that your lower brain is activated. Soothe it with the notion of false story, unlimited happiness, unlimited value. And now let's relax and get back to the situation and understanding what it is, facing it full on. And that allows us to continue to rise higher and higher and higher because we are able to not allow the lower brain manipulation of keeping us at level one and saying, oh, you know what? Dopamine is good enough. You know, what we have is good enough. No, there's so much more potential that we have that we want to really take advantage of. So let's get out there and let's really push ourselves to understand our lower brains, soothe it with the notion of false story, and then get back into engaging all aspects of life. Okay? All right. We'll see you at the next video. Thanks.